Hello everybody, this is Julie from Diamond Cloud Studio. If you've seen my recent short, you will know that March is my birthday month. So I thought it would be a great time to share a couple of journals that I have about my birthday when I took a trip to New York City. Ever since I was little, I have loved the big city. I grew up in a small town in Iowa. And when I moved to Boston in the 1980s, I was able to go to New York City twice. Once on a weekend Valentine's anniversary trip with my husband, and then again with a friend during the summer one year just for a day of shopping. We took the train in and took the train home. And ever since then, I've wanted to go back. Now we moved back to Iowa in 1990, and I was there for 24 years, so that just wasn't a possibility at that time. And then we moved back to New England, to New Hampshire in 2014. So ever since then, I have been wanting to go back, and finally I decided to make the trip. So we're going back in time to 2018. I have 2 journals for both trips. So I'm going to do them in separate videos, and I have tons of memorabilia, mostly stationery related, that I got while I was in New York City both times, but I don't remember what I bought what time. So I'm just going to show them all together. So here's just a quick little sneak peek into this box. And then I have another huge box that has mostly fun stationery stuff in there. So I'll be sharing that in my next video when I show my second book, and this one is in a smash book. So that will come later. Maybe I'll even record it today, I'm not sure. But we'll start with this one. This is my traveler's notebook. And we'll get this out. And the charms make a lot of noise, so I may actually even take those off while I'm doing the video. But anyway, here is a cork from a bottle of champagne that I drank with a friend. Here is a ticket from back in the 1980s to the top of the Empire State Building. And then I also made this little book about New York City. And it's just got some miniature pictures. And it was kind of just my charm for my traveler's notebook. All right, so let's open this up. I'll try not to make too much noise. Okay. So first I want to just show briefly this. I ripped the cover off of this because I ended up using it in my book. This was just notes from while I was there, and I just took notes, and so I just decided to keep this in the back with the other stuff. So I have let me make sure, nope, not in the middle. Let's see if I can come down a little bit here. Let's get this stuff out of the way. I have a few other things I want to share. All right, so I made a folder with some vintage postcards and pictures and stickers about travel. I have a lot of vintage pictures from New York City from my Etsy shop, so I used a lot of those. So in the front pocket, I just have all my receipts. Oops, let's take this off. All my receipts, a picture I didn't put in my book, a beautiful ticket to the Empire State Building. I kind of wanted to make it a bookmark, but I haven't done anything with that. And envelope from my daddy. And then in the back here, more decorations on the back. And I think in here is mostly tags and stuff off of things that I bought. Another picture. So that just lives in there. So let's get to the good part. We're going to go back in time to 2018. I grew up in a small town in Iowa, and I always, loved New York City. It was my dream to live in New York City. Now that's never happened and it's never going to happen, but that was my dream when I was little. So when I moved to Boston in the 80s, I got to go to New York twice. Once on an anniversary, a Valentine's Day trip with my husband, and then another time I went in for just the day shopping with a girlfriend. And then in 1990, we moved to Iowa. I was there for 24 years raising our daughter. I never had the chance to go back. So in 2014, when we moved back to New England, I had been wanting to go, but it hadn't happened. And then, okay, so here's where I went. 21st, 22nd is my birthday, and the 23rd, 2018. This kind of tells the story. In August of 2015, so I had been here a year, I had a dream that I was on the top of the Empire State Building on my birthday. Big band music was playing and I was dancing. So ever since I had that dream, I wanted to make it come true. And finally in 2018, I decided I was going to go. Now, my husband doesn't like the city. He didn't want to go. My daughter was too busy with work. And I just made this huge decision that I was going to go by myself. Now, I don't travel by myself much, so it was a huge deal. And I was pretty nervous about it. So here I have all my itinerary, vintage pictures. I stayed at Hotel Metro. It is not called that anymore. It was sold and redone, and I don't even know if they're open anymore. But I don't remember the new name, but the address is 45 West 35th Street. And this was the view from the rooftop. Now, I did a lot of internet searching about what hotel to stay in, what had a good view of the Empire State Building. Was it even possible to have a view out your window? I did not have a view out my window, but this was the rooftop. And I even called the hotel asking them, is that really true? Because I couldn't believe it. It was just the perfect place to stay. So as we go along, we've got all my packing lists, bags that I bought, money that I spent. If you notice, I had said in the beginning that I had a envelope from my daddy in here. My daddy sent me the money for this trip. He sent me $1,200. And I actually came home with $83 in cash and a total of $247 that I saved for my next trip. So if it wasn't for my daddy, I would not have been able to make that initial trip. So I am forever grateful to him for doing that for me. Here I did a page, notes from my diary in 1984, when my husband and I first went to New York City. This is a picture of me at the top of the Empire State Building in 1984 when I was 24. So I wanted to add that in. It just made my journal a little more special. So it's always fun to add other stuff that maybe isn't necessarily happening right then in your travel journal, but it's fun to have that. And then here was just information, vintage pictures. Okay, so I've had to, excuse me, I've had to cover some things up here, and just stuff that, personal stuff. So I have that covered up. I was so adamant about the best times to go to the top of the Empire State Building. I have the sunrise times, the sunset times. I don't think I was there at sunrise, but and oh yes, so the only way I could get to New York City was to take the train or to fly. I don't even think I thought about flying at that time, because you'd have to fly out of Boston, so it was just easier for my husband to drive me to the train station. And I used to ride the train all the time when I lived in Boston, but only like from Waltham into Boston. So I had never been on a really long train ride, so I was excited about that. I took Amtrak and came into Penn Station. So let's see, I guess I didn't write much about my actual ride on the train. The most crazy thing about this trip was that when I got on the train, and I got on the train early. Do I have the time? I mean, it was like 6 or 7 o'clock. It was really early. That they canceled every other train after that. I got on the last train out because there was a huge snowstorm coming to New York City. I have always wanted to go to New York City at Christmas time, see, you know, the skaters, all the windows done up. And I've never been able to do that. But I got to go to New York City during a snowstorm, which was actually maybe more exciting. And it worked out just perfect for me going by myself the first time. So Penn Station was absolutely crazy, insane. I realized when I got there that I didn't bring a scarf and it was freezing. Don't ask me how I can have a list like I did. My scarf ended up, I don't know, in the car or something, but didn't have a scarf. So, one of the first, I brought out a few things from my trip besides the memorabilia. And this was the first thing that I bought, this huge scarf. I'm not going to open it up, but it's huge. And I wore it like a cape. I wore it up over my head because it was windy, it was cold, it was snowing. So this is like one of my keepsakes from my trip. And so Penn Station was crazy. I only took a backpack and a bag, so I didn't have a suitcase to deal with. So that was nice. And I walked to my hotel, which I think I probably ended up getting lost. But I think it was like a 10-minute walk to my hotel. And my hotel was at the end of the street my hotel was on was Herald Square. So from there you could see the Empire State Building. So this was like the first time I got my eyes on it. And so in my hotel, there was a bar and a restaurant. So of course, the first thing I went was after I checked in. Actually, I don't think I could check in because I was there pretty early. Oh yeah, I was there at 11:15, so I hadn't checked in yet, but I went, I had a glass of champagne, and somebody had commented, I had showed videos and pictures on my Instagram during all this, that the bubbles in my champagne were going up while the snow outside was coming down. Now, the great thing about the fact that it was snowing in New York City was that the whole city came to like a standstill. They don't get a lot of snow. I don't know how much they actually got, but everything was just so quiet. Everything closed down. That was a bad thing. But it was super fun. Everybody was super nice. Like I sat at this bar. There was like nobody in the restaurant. I went exploring. I ate lunch at the Metro Grill. And let's see. This is just a whole bunch of other collages that I did. Okay, then I went walking and I went to Bryant Park, and I went to that bookstore in Bryant Park, and I cannot pronounce the name of it. It's a Japanese bookstore, and they just have tons of stationery stuff. So I shopped there. Look at all the snow. I mean, just crazy for New York City. So that was a picture of Bryant Park. I couldn't go sit in the park, of course, because everything was soaking wet. It was a very wet snow. And I had been planning to go to the Empire State Building that evening or that later that afternoon, and they closed because of the storm. So I did not get to go that first day, and that was disappointing. And it was my own fault because they say they're open all the time, they never close. So I didn't think about them closing. I could have actually got up there before they closed, but the guy at the ticket stand had said you couldn't see anything. So he said, you know, you wouldn't have missed anything. I still would have liked to have done it, but so let's see. I met a lady. This was in Herald Square, and she took my picture. I took her picture. This is the street that the Hotel Metro is on. And let's see. My room is on the 7th floor. And the view out my window was nothing exciting. It was just another building, but that was okay. Oh yeah, I got to the Empire State Building at 4:30. It was closed at 3 because they declared a state of emergency in New York City because of the snow. So, but it was just fun. So I didn't get to go there that day, but I got back to my hotel and I went up to the rooftop deck, and there was a sign on the door saying it was closed because of the weather, but the door was unlocked. And so I was able to go out there at different times that night. And even the next day, it still said it was closed, but I got out there. So, and no one came and made me leave. So this was my beautiful view from my deck, of my hotel. And as you can see, you can't even see the top of the Empire State Building here because it was all snowy. So I spent the night just hanging out at the hotel, drinking Prosecco and going up to the top of the Empire State Building. I think I went out to eat at some restaurant. And then I was kind of bored. So I had no plans to really go out anywhere else, but I decided I was going to go to Times Square because I had nothing else to do. So I walked all the way to Times Square. I had boots and I had sneakers. That's all I brought with me. And everything was soaked. My boots, my socks were soaked. So I put on sneakers and I walked there. And if you know anything about New York, when it snows, the snow melts on the sidewalks and the streets because of the subway system underneath the warm air. So it just was tons of slush. So again, my shoes were soaked, but I didn't care. Times Square was deserted. That's how many people were in Times Square. So there was just a few people. I walked around. I didn't really do much. Everything was closed. So I just said that I did it, came back to my hotel, went up the roof again. I was in bed by 10. I had 1,000 steps, which is a lot for me. So the next day, which was my birthday, I got to meet an internet friend, an Instagram friend, actually. Her name is Amy. And if you want to follow her on Instagram, her name is Create in NYC. And she does a lot of vintage tickets and collage stuff and packages, and she types stuff. And this, where I keep my traveler's notebook inserts from my birthday trip, this was what she had waiting for me at her apartment when I went to see her, and she had all kinds of goodies inside this bag. So that was really exciting. So I hear a lot that people say internet friends aren't real friends. Well, that's very untrue because I had been friends with Amy on Instagram for years. We both had a love of New York City. She lived in New York City. And so when I told her I was coming, she was like, oh, I want you to come to my apartment and meet me. So it was very exciting. So I spent the afternoon with her. Actually, before, oh, okay, I don't know why that's there, but it's kind of out of order. I was up at 5 a.m. on my birthday, and I was on the rooftop deck by 7. You can still see there's some snow around. And then I was at the Empire State Building by 8:30, and I hung out up there for quite a while, probably a couple hours. I FaceTimed my daddy, and he was so excited about that because he was telling everybody, hey, I was at the top of the Empire State Building. So that was really fun to do. And these are my pictures. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to see the city with snow on top of all the rooftops. And there was snow on the outside of observatories. Big chunks of ice were falling down. I'm surprised they let us out there. It was crazy. So it was really fun. And here's another one of my pictures. And of course, I went shopping at the gift shop. And I was on my 58th birthday. And here's some more pictures I took. Let's see here. And let's see. Oh, one of the things, I even had a phone case with the Empire State Building on it. I had dyed my hair pink, and I got so many compliments on it. It was so much fun. Just some pieces here and there. Oh, here's my bill from what I bought, $77. More notes about being up there, being so happy. Here's all the snow that was still on the rooftop deck the next day. And when I went to see my friend Amy, I got there early, and so I went to this restaurant bar, which was really tiny. It's called Bin 71. It was so much fun. I met this really nice guy. He bought me a glass of Prosecco because it was my birthday. Then I went to Amy's house, and you'll see here I have a picture of the bag. Oh, here's some of the stuff that she had in there, some vintage envelopes, some tickets, all kinds of stuff. And so I spent the afternoon at her apartment. She doesn't live in New York City anymore, but, and then she gave me this scarf while I was there because I told her about how I had lost didn't bring my scarf, and she had hand knitted this scarf, and she gave it to me, and I wear it all the time. So I just love that wonderful memory of that day with my internet friend that I got to meet in real life. And Amy, if you ever watch this, thank you so much for the most wonderful time. And then that night, I went back to my hotel. I got pizza, and I went up to the top of the Empire State Building. Let's see, about 8 o'clock maybe, I'm not sure. It was dark. Let's see. Okay, so just a little bit about that. In my dream, there was big band music playing, and I was dancing. Well, there wasn't big band music playing, but there was a saxophonist playing, and I just danced a little bit by myself, and I felt like I made my whole dream come true. Also got to tell you, I cried like a baby when I first got to the top the very first time, the first day I went, and got to see that view because I had done it. I had done it all by myself. I was brave, probably the bravest I've ever been. So I stayed up there a long time, finally went to bed at 2 a.m. And then the next morning, I just basically got up, got to the train station, and got my train home. And that was very distressing. Penn Station is a scary place for somebody who's not used to all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of my whole story from my birthday trip in 2018. And so the next, it may not be the next video I put up, but the next video I will share my trip with my daughter and all my memorabilia. But I have some other videos that I want to make about some actual creative art things that I've been working on. So I will share one of those probably and then do the other New York City video. And I will also do a video showing all my birthday presents when I open those next week. Thanks for coming along to this walk back in time to New York City. Have a great day, guys. Bye.